Hey you guys, it's Val. It's Friday about 6:30 and I haven't really done anything all day, but I forgot to make a video talking about last night's events. So I went to the College Humor live show. I went into the standby line. I was only behind this group of 4 like 13-year-olds, so it was a lot of fun standing behind them for an hour. But they had like a Jake and Amir sign, and I was like, kill me. And when Jake like walked into the theater, they were like, freaking out and stuff, and Jake and Amir were like talking to the people in line. And then like he came over and said hi to these girls in front of me, and they were like, ah, and they took pictures with him, and then he saw me behind them, and he held out his hand for me, shaking. He's like, hey, you were here last night, right? What's your name again? And I was like, Valerie. And then we talked for a little bit, and he was like, where's your friend? And I was like, oh, she couldn't come. And he was like, oh, what a shame. And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, tonight's show is going to be awesome. And I was like, yeah, I'm super excited. And I was like, I hope I get in, because we're in the standby line. And he was like, oh no, looks pretty sure. You guys will probably get in. And I was like, awesome. And then he had to go in. And then we waited in line for like, I don't know, like half hour more, maybe less than that. And then they let the reserve people in, and then they let our line in, and they said it was standing room only. So we had to like go to the far back and like just stand. Standing room only. So I walked in, and like on the very back from where all the seats are, there's like, I don't know, this like divider thing. It's like chest height, and it's just like, a little wall, I guess. And so I was just like leaning up against that, waiting for the show to start. And then Jake walked up and like stood next to like the wall thing, like 3 feet away from me. Like, I don't know, scanning the crowd, like looking for something. And I was like, hey, again. We see each other a lot, I guess. And he was like, hey, why are you standing? And I was like, well, it's standing room only for us, they said. And he was like, oh, no, I'll get you a seat. And he goes, this row right here, this is my row. You can have that seat down there. That seat's yours. And I was like, thanks. I'm not even kidding. It was amazing. And so yeah, he gave me a seat in his row. And then they started the show, and it was really funny. And Jeff and Streeter were like the announcers of the night. Oh, and outside the theater when we were waiting, I saw Dan and Murph. And Sarah was in part of the show, and then Jake and Amir, obviously, and David, and Jeff. Oh, I already said Jeff. But anyway, so I saw a lot of people. And there was Jake and Amir that performed, and then there was this guy named Kumai or Kumail, and then 2 other guys did stand up. One of the guys that did some stand up last night was also at the Rejection show, so it was cool to see him again. So yeah, and then after the show, I didn't know, like I couldn't decide if I should like wait around again and like talk to Jake and like meet people again, because I feel like that would be like super weird. Like I saw him the night before, and then I saw him like before the show. Like, I just thought it might be a little much if, like, I went and said hi to him after the show. So, I stood around for a little bit, and I, like, talked to Allison on the phone. I was like, I'll just go. And so, I walked, like, down the block to this McDonald's because I had to go to the bathroom, but the bathroom was closed. But I didn't have to go to bed anyway. And then, so I walked back down the other way, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go because I want to meet Streeter. And some other guys. So I went back, and there were like, a ton of people outside the theater just like talking with all the College Humor people. And I met Streeter, and I took a picture with him, and he was cool, and we chatted for a little bit. And I said hi to Murph. We were walking past each other, and I was like, Murph, high five. And he was like, hi. And I was like, you don't know me, but I know you. It's like, okay. Because, you know, people know his name that he doesn't know. And then I said hi to Jeff. And there was this group of like 6 girls. I don't know, maybe like 17 or something, or 18. And they were talking to Jake. And Amir was just like kind of like right next to them, but talking to like a different group of people. And so I was just kind of like standing nearby, like, you know, because like with these things you kind of like wait for one group to like be done with their conversation, and then you like go in and start a conversation. So I was just kind of like standing by waiting for them to like move on. And then one of the girls asked me if I would take a picture of them. And I was like, oh yeah. So she gave me her camera, and I waited for them to like, you know, line up. But then they like just kept talking. So I was like I didn't mind. I was just waiting for them to be ready. Like I didn't care. But then it took a while, and they finally... Oh, but while I was like standing by with her camera, just like waiting, Jake was like, hey, Valerie. And what did he say? I can't remember what he said, but oh, he asked if I liked the show or something like that. But then, I don't know, after a while they finally got the memo that we were going to take a picture. So they lined up, but then Amir was still talking to someone else. So we were like, okay, we have to wait for Amir. And so Jake was like, let's take pictures while we're waiting. So he had like one girl at a time, and I took a picture of them, and they did like different poses. Like, oh, they did like a karate pose where he was like kicking in midair, and she was like, ah. And then with another girl they did fish faces, and then with another girl superhero poses. And oh my gosh, I almost died. So I'm like laughing, taking these pictures, cracking up at Jake. And then with like, I think the last girl, or the second to the last one, he like holds up one of his legs at the knee and like pulls it behind him, you know? And he goes, war veteran, I have no leg. And I was like, I looked at him and I was like, Jake, that's offensive. And he was just laughing. It was so funny. And so I took a picture of that. Oh man, I was dying. And then after that, he was like, oh, I gotta get one with you. And I was like, oh yeah. So I gave like one of the girls my camera. And I was like, okay, what should we do? And he was like, gangster or ghetto or something. So he flips up his hood and he's like, and I was like, I don't have a hood, I don't look gangster. And so he took off his sweatshirt, put it over me, put his hood on my head, and he was like, I can be gangster without my hood. And I was like, okay. So then we took a picture, and I was like, and he was like, and it's on Facebook, you can look at it. And so we took that picture, and I was like, awesome. And then Amir was finally ready, so they all got in the group, and I took their picture, and like I didn't know like the girl's camera, so I said 1, and I pressed the shutter. You know, with some you like press it halfway and then press it all the way, but I pressed it too hard, and I took the picture on 1 accidentally. And Jake was like talking because I only said 1. And he's like, oh, come on. I was like, that was all you. That was your fault. He's like, you took it at 1. I was like, whatever, get ready. And so I took it, and then they shuffled away, and I was going to go tell Jake that I was going to say thank you for giving me a seat. But then, like, one of, like, the crew guys, I think, started talking to him. And so, again, I had to just stand there awkwardly. And so they were talking, and then I thought they were done, but they weren't, so I started talking, but the guy was still talking, so he, like, looked at me, and I was like, sorry, go ahead. Like, I gave him permission or something. I felt so stupid. But that's okay. So they got to talking, and I was like, sorry, Jake, I just want to say thank you for giving me a seat. I really appreciated it. And he gave me a hug, and he's like, oh, anytime, every time. And I was like, oh, really? Every time? Because he was just, like, saying it. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, every time. And he was like, actually, I can't promise that. And I was like, oh, no, I'll find you. You said every time. And we laughed. And I was like, all right, have a good night. Bye. And he was like, bye. And it was wonderful. so that's the story. And oh, and tonight, Friday night, there's a last minute show. There was this guy, John Gabris, was supposed to have a show at the UCB theater, but he got really sick, and so at the last minute, Streeter and I think Jeff and Murph, they like took the spot. And so I really want to go. It's at 11 p.m., which I know is really, really late, but it's Friday night, so it's not like I have to get up in the morning. But I really, really hope that Jake and Amir don't end up going, because 3 nights in a row is too much. I will look like a complete psycho stalker and can't do it. So yeah, we'll see. This is getting really, really long, so I'm gonna go now. Love you guys. Bye.